Hello everybody, welcome back. In the last tutorial I showed you how to design this layout using Adobe XD, and in this tutorial I will show you how to convert this layout into HTML and CSS. So let's have a look. Okay, the first thing we need to do is set up our project, and for this I'm going to create a new folder and just call it WordPress theme. In this folder I will create two files, and the first file is called index.html and the second file that we need is styles.scss. We'll be using SCSS for this project as it's a little bit easier to write CSS in my opinion. So now that I've set up both files, I will open the project using Visual Studio Code, and to do that press Shift, right click and open PowerShell Windows here, and then type code semicolon. This will open Visual Studio and our project will be on the left side, or project files. So if I click on index, I can close everything else now. Also you might want to install Live SAS compiler and Live server. So Live, if I click on watch Live SAS, that will watch my SCSS file and convert it to a normal CSS file. And also if I go live, that should create a virtual server for me, and here it is. To speed up the project I will be using Emmet, which simply just the easiest way to explain it is basically just a shortcut for writing code. So if you press exclamation mark and enter, that will write a simple HTML for us, and then we can start. So my theme, I decided to call it basic. The first thing we need to do here is link our style sheet, which is now if I test this, we should get the server to auto reload. Yep, so every time I save, the server auto reloads, so I don't have to keep pressing refresh. And also to test the SAS file, I will open it quickly and just do body and something like, you can see that all background changed to red. So okay, let's remove this and let's have a look at our design in XD quickly. So the things we will need in this project are things such as navbar, slogan, alter, image video alter, social, the blocks, and a footer. Okay, let's start writing the HTML. The first thing I want to do is import the font from Google Fonts. The second thing I would want to do is set a few variables that we'll be using throughout my CSS. So the first one, I want to set up my colors. So my primary color is black, and my primary color hover will be slightly gray, I mean close to black, and my secondary color will be awesome. The reason I'm using variables is because later on, if I want to change one of the colors, I want it to change everywhere on my website. Okay, let's reset some of the styles first, and I will do asterisk and then margin 0 and padding 0. That means pretty much reset all the margins and paddings on all elements. The next thing we need to do is body, and inside the body I will do font family, and the font family is source serif pro. I will go for font size of 1.1 em, and I want a global line height of 28 pixels. The next thing I want to do is make sure that the images are responsive, and to do that I will type images and then max width 100%, and I will set the height to be auto. I will also set the h1 tags, so h1, h2 and h3. They will have a font weight of normal, margin bottom 18 pixels, font size 1. By the way, the margin bottom and font size I've taken from the design here. So yeah, if I go and if I go to the design and measure this space, it's going to be pretty much margin bottom, so this space is pretty much going to be 18 pixels. The next few things that I want to set up is the paragraphs, and for the paragraphs I will use color, primary color, which is our variable up here, and I will also actually I can put this on my body and that will be global, and for the p tag I will just do margin bottom of 10 pixels. The next thing I want to style is the links, and to style links you just write A. For the link I will use our primary color variable, which is up here, so the links will be black, and I also want to have a hover, so when you hover with your mouse cursor I want the color to change. So for this I will have the color as the secondary color. Okay. That's for the basics so far, so let's start writing some HTML now. So by looking at my design, the first thing I want to start with is the wrapper. So I'm going to create a div with the class name of wrapper, and inside this div I will have the whole layout. So basically I want to center this in the middle of the screen. Okay, looking by the design again, if I show you quickly, we have the header, slogan, author, social stuff, and the blocks. So let's start writing a few of those HTML elements. So the first one is div class header, and inside the header we are going to have stuff like the logo. So let's say image, source, logo SVG, also I haven't got any of my images just yet, so I will create a new folder and call it images, and inside the images I will paste all the images that I've already prepared before this tutorial. Okay, now I've copied all my images in the images folder, so now this image is referenced, and if we look back to our browser we are getting the logo, which is great. So let's continue writing the rest of the HTML, and maybe we can do this, and I will just hide the stuff on the left side. So, and I will also zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I hope this is a little bit better now. Okay, so we've created the header, and the next thing we will need, by the way, I will be using grid for this tutorial, so the layout might look a little bit strange at the moment, but keep on watching and you will understand what I'm doing. So I'm adding the header here, and after the header I will want my mobile menu. So for this I will create another div with the class name of mobile menu, and in the menu I will use the image that I've created, and I think I've called it menu SVG. Yep. So we're getting the icon here and we're getting the text. The next thing we need to do is create the slogan. So create another div with the class of slogan, and inside I will just paste the quote that I've written on the design. The next thing we need to create is the author, so div class author. Inside here we are going to have a div class of author image, and I will show you why I'm doing this as well in a second. And inside this div I will put my image, source, cool. So getting the image now as well, and also we want some text about the author, so I will create another div with a class of I've misspelled author. I will call it author content, and inside here I will just put some Lorem Ipsum text. Okay, so we got our image, the Lorem Ipsum, and that's perfect. The next thing I want to create is the social bar. So let's create div class social, and inside the social bar we will have the newsletter submission input. So we can call this div class newsletter, and if you have a look closely at the design, we have an input here, a button here, and the 4 social icons. So inside here I will create an input, and the type is going to be text with the placeholder of email, newsletter, and I will give it a class of subscribe button. I will create another input with this time the type of submit, so that we will act as our button, and the value will be submit. The name could be something like subscribe, and let's give it a class of subscribe button. I will finish off the social bit now, and here I will have a div with the class name of networks, and this is where 4 icons are gonna go. And for this I'm just gonna create 4 links, so ahref. Inside each link I will use images that I've already included in my project, and I've named them, so I can just do image source SVG. Also make sure you add alt tag. That's just in case the image is broken and Facebook will appear instead. And let's copy this a few times now. Awesome. If I save this now, we're getting the input, the submit button, and the 4 icons. I wanted to show you what's going on so far. So I've included my header, my logo, my menu, my slogan, the author text, and the social stuff here. So we don't have much left. All we have to do is write the HTML for this, replicate it a few times just for the demo, create a button, and also the footer. So bear with me, I will finish off the HTML quickly, and then I will show you how to style this with pretty much using CSS grid and very little flexbox. So let's continue now, and the next thing I want to do is the articles. I will put the articles inside another div with the class of container, and inside this div we will have the individual articles. So we can call a div class articles, and in each, if we go back to the design, in each article we have a main image, a heading, the excerpt, and a button. That's all. So let's quickly add this. So the first thing I'm going to add is the thumbnail, and inside the thumbnail obviously we're gonna add an image. Obviously make sure you name your alt tags. I'm just doing this for the demo. And inside the article, as I said before, we will have the content, the excerpt. So for this I will create a div of class content, and inside we will have an h1 tag. Actually, it might be better to use h2 tag here because we'll have quite a few of the articles. So I will create a paragraph. Also, we need the button. Let's call it button for now, and this will be more plus. So now we have our image, we have the heading, we have the excerpt, and we have the button. So what I can do here is replicate this a few times. Okay, that's perfect. So now if I save this, we should get all the articles here. And the next thing we need to do is add or load more button. And the last thing we need to, we're getting the load more button here at the bottom of our page, and the last thing that we need to do is include the footer. So div class footer, and inside the footer we can have something like a link of privacy policy. So maybe the hub is a little bit extreme, but I will change that later. Now that we have our HTML setup, we can start styling the page. Okay, this was part number 1 of the coding tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to style the page using CSS Grid. Make sure you smash the likes, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one.